Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Daisy.
And this is the Film Joe podcast, where we invite you to talk film.
We'll talk about the good, the bad,
and the not so bad, all in the spirit and for the love of film. Catch us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast fix.
So join us on the Film Joe podcast,
where film talk happens.
Welcome to Ouch! Was That a Ghost? This podcast may contain graphic material, which some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Help me.
Now that we covered that, here's your host, Liz.
Welcome back to Ouch! Was That a Ghost? This week, I'm covering a story in Scotland. Located on the east coast of Scotland, in Angus, behind the village of, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It's spelled Glamis, Glamis. But when I look up pronunciations, it says Glamrs, so Glommers. But on YouTube videos, people seem to say Gloms. So I'll just say Gloms. Sits Glamis Castle, a place that's filled with history, full of ghost stories. It's often called the most haunted castle in Europe. The castle has served as the ancestral seat to the Earls of Strathmore and Kinghorn since 1372. When King Robert II's daughter married Sir John Lyon, the Thane of Glamis, or Gloms, the king gave Sir Lyon the property and it's remained in the Lyon family on and off since. It was the childhood home of Queen Elizabeth II and the Queen Mother and the birthplace of Princess Margaret. I don't really understand royal lines, but I'll try for this tale. There's so much history and lore surrounding this castle even before the castle was built. The original plans were to build a castle on a hill near where it stands today. But every day when the construction crew came to work, their material would be scattered all over the place. This kept happening day after day until one day when they showed up for work, the workers heard a disembodied voice say, quote, "Build not on this enchanted spot, where man hath neither part nor lot, but build down in yonder bog, where it will neither shake nor shog." So they were like, gotcha. And to avoid the shog, I guess, they changed the building location to a flatter area right nearby. And even before the castle that stands today was built, darkness started on that land. It's said that in 1034, Malcolm II, who served as king, died on the site. Some say he was injured elsewhere and died made his way to the site and then died. Some articles say that he was assassinated at the site. So I don't know. I wasn't there. But the spirit of Malcolm is said to still be at the castle wandering the halls at night. The castle also served as an inspiration for a little play called Macbeth by William Shakespeare. I'm not sure if it's bad luck to say that title on a podcast, but let's see. In 1486, this was the time of the clan wars, the Ogilvy clan were fleeing from the Lindsay clan during a snowstorm. They went to Glamis Castle and begged for refuge, for warmth, for food, and Lord Glamis was like, sure, come on in. And he was like, here, go stay in this room, I got you want something to eat, to drink. And then Lord Glamis shut the door. Being a friend of the Lindsays, Lord Glamis locked the door, walked away, leaving the Ogilvys to die by starvation. Noises like yelling, banging can be heard throughout the castle walls to this day. Some say that that's the Ogilvys. The castle is said to have all sorts of hauntings. Some with no explanation that I could find, like a little boy that would sit outside a bedroom in the castle. It underwent renovations, rebuilds, but the castle that's there today was built in the 15th century. In 1528, King James V was the King of Scotland, and he hated the Douglases. He had a huge vendetta against them because his stepfather, Archibald Douglas, who was the 6th Earl of Angus, had imprisoned King James for a few years when he was a boy or a teenager, and King James just held on to this resentment, and it just grew into blind rage when he became of age to rule as king himself, and he just hated the whole Douglas clan. His stepfather's sister, Lady Janet Douglas, or Lady Glamis at the time, the wife, then widow of John, the 6th Lord Glamis, lived in Glamis Castle. While the king at the time despised the Douglas family, the king just tried to make the whole family go away. And now that Lady Douglas was a widow and her child didn't seem too difficult for the king to get rid of. He accused Lady Douglas of treason, then of poisoning her husband, and finally, you know the drill. If you don't like a woman back then, accuse them of practicing witchcraft, which he did. He had her imprisoned, and the king seized Glamis Castle, and everything in it that he wanted. After witnesses' quote-unquote testimony, the king had a hand in helping said testimony along. The king got his conviction, and Lady Douglas was burned at the stake in 1537 in front of her son. And after this, it was found that the witnesses lied. Surprise, surprise. The king also tried to get her teenage son John executed, trying to rid the whole area of the Douglases. John was being held waiting for his execution, but after the king died, John was let go, and in 1543, John was given the castle back and given back his title, so now the castle was back in the hands of the Lyons clan. And after Lady Douglas was executed, the Grey Lady started showing up at the castle. She's often seen in the chapel located in the castle, and it's said that she frequents so often that one seat is left designated just for her. No one's allowed to sit in that seat. The Queen Mother's sister, Rose Levinson Gower, loved playing music in the chapel. One day she was in there playing and she felt like someone was watching her. She looked over and saw a lady, dressed in gray, kneeling in a pew with her hands together in prayer. The woman was well put together, nice and neat. When the sun shone in through the window, the previously solid form of the Grey Lady became translucent, and the window pattern was seen right on the floor as if nobody was blocking it. The Queen Mother's sister claimed that she was not afraid, and she just kept on playing. When she was done, she looked over, and the figure was gone. She wasn't the only one that witnessed this figure. Queen Elizabeth and Timothy, the 16th Earl of Strathmore, have also witnessed the same Grey Lady. Then there is a translucent, tall man that goes into a certain room off the spiral staircase in the castle. Years ago, Lord Castleton's daughter woke up to find a man fitting the tall man's description with a long coat buttoned up to the neck, sitting in her room by the fireplace. He looked towards her, and then he just vanished. Another guest, a doctor, saw the same man in the same room standing by his bed. When the apparition saw that the doctor saw him, he exited the room right through a solid wall. The very next night, another doctor saw the same specter in that same room. Many guests that have stayed in that room claim to hear sword fights on the stairs, but when they open their door to look out, there's nothing there. Then there's probably the spookiest specter there, Earl Beardy, or Alexander Lindsay. He was the 4th Earl of Crawford. He was described as a big, burly, bearded guy, a big drinker, a big gambler, always yelling, swearing. One night at the castle, they were having a card game, and Beardy wanted to keep playing, but everyone was like, "It's almost Sabbath, we're done," and he was like, "I'm going to keep playing, even if it's with the devil himself." At midnight, a tall man appeared. Beardy got right back into playing with this unknown man, swearing, yelling during the games. And it said that the stakes got so high that night that Beardy lost his soul in the game, and his life shortly after. The unknown tall, thin man vanished just as quickly as he appeared, and it said that the man was the devil himself. And now Beardy is forced to play forever, either for losing his soul or for playing on the Sabbath. Up in the room in the West Tower, where this was all thought to have happened, It's said that shaking dice, yelling, swearing, stomping can still be heard. People visiting the castle still claim to hear crying, yelling, and all sorts of noises, especially at night. In 1869, there was a party, and a few families stayed the night in different rooms. In one of the rooms, the Monroes stayed, and their son stayed off in an adjacent room. Mrs. Monroe woke up to a beard brushing her face. Having no candles lit in the room and only the light of the moon, she could barely make out a tall apparition. And the apparition seemed to be heading towards where her son was sleeping. She tried to wake her husband. As she was doing this, she heard her son screaming that he saw a giant. The next morning, the families were there for breakfast, just all talking about what happened the night prior, about candles being put out. The animals were yelling and screaming, howling. The owners of the Glamis were like, oh yeah, that's not that strange. That usually happens when kids stay here. Kids feel beards and see a giant staring at them. Like, that's really weird, but okay. Then there's the 13th Earl of Strathmore. The then head of the household, along with a group of other men, went to find the source of all the disembodied noises they were hearing at night. They followed it until they found the room that was the source of all the commotion. The Earl opened the door with a key, and it said that he fainted. He would never speak of what he saw in that room. He just had the room covered and just bricked up. One theory being that he found a room full of skeletons of the family that was promised refuge. I've seen in a few places that room is now open again and was cleared out, but still has this darkness about it. All these hauntings are interesting, but none are as intriguing as the castle's secret. The 13th Earl of Strathmore says of the secret, quote, "If you could even guess the nature of the castle's secret, you would get down on your knees and thank God it was not yours." Sir Walter Scott was the first to share outside the family that there was a secret of Glamis, as he was the first caretaker to spend the night and share his story. He said of this, quote, "I was conducted to my apartment in a distant corner of the building. I must own that as I heard door after door shut, after my conductor had retired, I began to consider myself too far from the living and somewhat too near to the dead. In a word, I experienced sensations which, though not remarkable either for timidity or superstition, did not fail to affect me to the point of being disagreeable, while they were mingled at the same time with a strange kind of pleasure, the recollection which affords me great pleasure at this moment." Tales of this spread, and talks of a secret room, secret passages, and figures roaming the hall at night. The castle still being used for entertaining. As the guests would come, they would try to disprove a rumor that there were hidden rooms in the castle by hanging whatever, either sheets or clothing in the windows, and then running outside and counting the windows and the rooms. And there always seemed to be more windows than rooms, all that to say that they were searching for hidden rooms in the castle. And there was always at least one window unaccounted for. And the story goes that there's a room in the castle that nobody can find. Scott, the one that stayed and was spilling the beans, shared that the entrance to the secret room could only be known by 3 people at a time, and the information given to them on their 21st birthday. When he shared this information about a possible secret room, he described it more as like a safe room for the family. But the story was also shared by a boy 60 years after hearing it. This is an excerpt from the Smithsonian Magazine. The only detailed description emerged in the 1960s, when the writer James Wentworth Day spent time at Glamis while writing a history of the Bowes-Lyon family from the then Earl and his relatives. Wentworth Day heard a legend that, quote, "A monster was born into the family. He was the heir, a creature fearful to behold. It was impossible to allow this deformed caricature of humanity to be seen, even by their friends. His chest, an enormous barrel, hairy as a doormat. His head ran straight into his shoulders, and his arms and legs were toy-like. But, however warped and twisted his body, the child had to be reared to manhood, kept safe, and occasionally exercised. That job was given to the factor." So was that the secret? That there was a hidden chamber of secrets with a grotesque rightful heir who was so unpresentable he must be kept there? Locked away in a hidden room, possibly to avoid the creature serving as Earl out of fear or shame. describing the creature as having no neck, a barrel-shaped body with almost non-existent limbs. If this was the secret, and each heir would be shown the hidden family member once of age, it said that the prisoner lived until about 1921, never taking his place as Earl, just being locked away for over 100 years. If the creature was a family member, one theory is that he was the firstborn of the 11th Earl of Strathmore and Charlotte Grimstead. On October 21st, 1821, they had their firstborn son, Thomas Lyon Bowes, who was said to have been born badly deformed. Records show that he died the same day, but many believe he survived. And the family kept him out of sight because he was so unpresentable. And he was removed from the line of succession of the title of Earl of Strathmore, only being allowed out at night for fresh air and exercise, walking along the roof, parapets, and grounds. He is thought to haunt the grounds and a section of the parapets, known as the Mad Earl's Walk. It's also said that when he did pass away in 1921, his rooms were walled off and people have not found them to this day. I mean, sadly, back then it wasn't unheard of to just lock away anything that would cause the family shame. Thankfully, we've evolved as a society. There is a story that on top of the castle, on the Mad Earl's Walk, in 1860, a worker was up there who found a long hallway with a locked door at the end. He followed the hallway and he heard noises coming from behind the door, and it said that he may have saw something or heard something that he wasn't supposed to. Word of this got to the Earl, who met the worker with a large sum of money and bought passage for the worker and his family to go away to Australia, and they were never heard from again. Many have speculated where the secret room is. Some say it's in the chapel, others say maybe on the roof. One of the castle's guests in 1875, a young doctor, claims to have found the secret passage. In the floor of his bedroom he was staying in, he noticed part of the carpet was different in a part of the room, and he pulled it up. There he found a trap door. In the morning, he had a check waiting for him and a ride to the train station. Then there's the tongueless woman, who's seen wandering or running from the castle, gesturing towards her mouth that has blood pouring from it. The story goes that she was a maid and somehow stumbled upon the secret, and the Earl learned of this and had her tongue cut out to prevent her from telling anybody else the secret. In 1876, the 14th Earl was the last to hit 21 and receive the family secret, so the secret may have died with him. Lady Granville, aunt to Elizabeth II, had been born in the castle, and when she was asked what she knew about this, she said, quote, "We were never allowed to talk about it when we were children. Our parents forbade us to ever discuss the matter or ask any questions about it. My father and grandfather refused absolutely to discuss it." Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there was a monster in the castle? Was the monster of Glamis just a relative born with deformities, a captor, or just mere gossip? Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear it. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
If you need more content or just want to help support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com and search Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you need some schnazzy merch, you can find it at crowdmade.com by searching Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you have a story you'd like to share, you can email it to ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and all the other social media platforms under Ouch, Was That a Ghost?
Help me.
All links can also be found on ouchwasthataghost.com.